I have three images here and they all have a Moiré pattern to them, and I'm going to show you how to set up an action to get rid of that pattern and then be able to repeat it over multiple images. But before I get started, let me show you that pattern a little bit better. If I go up to Window and I go to New Window right here, I get a second window, and now I can zoom in there and I'm going to move it down. And in this window I can see the pattern, but up here I can see the whole image. So let me show you how my action works before I get started showing you how to do it. If I come to the first image here and I come over to my action, I called it FFT. I'll come here and I'll hit play. You can see the action got rid of the pattern. You can see it in the lower window down here up close and what it looks like overall. I can come to my second image and hit play, and it gets rid of it in the second image and then in the third image. So you can see that the action helps to automate your process here. And when I made it, I actually made a mistake, so you'll see how I figured out that the mistake was made and how to go back and fix my action after I finished the first recording of it. So let's get started. So these are the three images which have been modified or corrected, and let me start by putting them back to their original state where they have the Moiré pattern. Before we start our action, the first thing we want to do is check the size of the image. You can see this one is 490 by 639, and the second one here is 505 by 628. Now we're going to want all the images to be the same size when we create our action. And the reason is that the selection we pick to get rid of the pattern is going to need to know exactly what the size is. So we want them to all be the same width and height in number of pixels. So let's hit OK. We'll resize them all to be 500 by 620. So we'll hit cancel. And I already have my action here, so let's go and delete that. Just drag it down to the trash can here, and we'll create a new action. So you come down to this little icon right here which looks like a blank page, and you click it, and we'll call the action FFT. And you can pick which collection of actions you want to put it in. We'll put it in default and hit record. So the first thing we want to do to our image is resize it like we said. So we'll go up to image and image size, and I'm going to make this one 500 by 620. Now it's important that you keep the constrained proportions off because we want to actually stretch it. If we have that on, it's going to keep us, so it's going to be hard to make them all exactly the same. Not hard, make it impossible. Okay, so that image is now corrected to the right size. The next thing we're going to do is hit Control J, and that will duplicate the layer, the background layer, and we're going to call that gray level. Next we'll go up to Filter, Blur, and Average. That'll give you the average color for the whole image. We're going to turn that off. We don't need that right now. As a matter of fact, we don't want that right now. And then we'll go and create a new level, and we're going to make a clone stamp of that level by hitting Control Alt Shift and E. So now we have two levels that are exactly the same. We have the background, which we want to keep as our original because we never want to mess up the original. And then we have a new layer here, and we're going to call that Remove Pattern. Now we'll go up and run our FFT filter. So we go up to Filter, Fourier Transform, and FFT. Now this is not going to explain the FFT filter or how to remove the pattern. I have another video that does that. This is just about creating the action. So now we'll go to the channel and the green channel, and we will go up to our selection tool here and we'll hit the Alt key and click until we get the rectangle. Make sure that your style here is on normal, not fixed aspect ratio or fixed size. I'm going to double click it so I can see the whole thing, and now I am going to add a selection. It's going to go vertically in the center with a little bit of a border either side of this line that's going vertical. And now I'm going to hit Shift for add, and I'm going to do the same thing horizontally. So I've made a cross. Now I want to go back up to my selection. I'm going to hit the Alt key and then left click to make it an ellipse, and now I'm going to hit Shift and add an oval around this starburst in the middle. So my selection is this cross and this oval. And if I go up to Select and Inverse, I've now reversed my selection. And you can see over here in the Action panel, every time I do something, it's recording it over here. Now this is important here that you need to hit Reset Color Palette because your colors might be on something else. So you want to make sure your colors are right, which is black in the foreground and white in the background. So hit this little tiny icon here, and you can say over here in your action is Reset Swatches. Now hit Alt and Delete, and it gets rid of everything but that little starburst in the middle and the horizontal and vertical lines in the center. Hit Control D to deselect everything. Come back to your RGB channel and hit Filter, Fourier, Inverse Fourier Transform. If I go back to my levels, I'm going to hit the Alt key and the little eyeball here, and that's the new level. Okay, so that removes the pattern. If I bring the gray level back on, you can now see the image with the pattern over the gray level with the FFT altercation. Now I'll go to the gray level and I want to add a level adjustment here, so I'm going to click this icon down here and go to Levels, and what I want to do is change the level of my gray level until the image looks good. It looks pretty good right there. I also want to come up to my Remove Pattern level and hit Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and I'm going to set this to 1.5. So that helps to smooth out the pattern a little bit. And now I am going to add another layer, a new layer. It's empty. I'm going to hit the Control Alt Shift E to clone stamp it one more time, and I am going to change it to Overlay and then hit Filter, Other, High Pass. So this is a high pass sharpening technique, and we'll hit, that looks pretty good right there. Okay, so we'll call that high pass sharpen. So that is basically the action, which is recorded over here to get rid of the pattern. So I can hit stop, bring it back up, and now I can run it on the other images. So I'll come back to this first one, click on FFT up here so it starts at the beginning, and hit play. And you can see it got rid of the pattern, and here's the close-up down here. So that pattern looks good, and then I can do it on the third image here, and we run it, and okay, we got a problem here. Let's go and figure out what's going on. To debug the action, we can come over to the action panel and run through each step one at a time to see if it works as we expected it to. So let's go over to our file menu and hit Revert That'll get us back to the original, and now we'll step through. So we go to image size, and that seemed to work okay. We made the copy of the layer. That worked okay. We set the name to gray level, and then we made an average, and then we hid the layer, made a new layer, and a clone stamp, and you can see everything seems to be working okay. So we made the layer merge visible, set the current layer. Okay, then we ran the filter. That's okay. Select the green channel, and then we hit the selection. Okay, this set selection, this should be right down the middle. So that's the problem right there. So if we go to set selection, okay, it's on 0.793 inches, which is where it is. And you can see, if you look at the ruler here, in this one, even though they're the same number of pixels, the resolution must be different. So if I go up to image size, this is at 96 pixels per inch, and this one is 300 pixels per inch. So after we do our image size, we should reset the resolution to 300 pixels per inch. So to do that, what I'm going to do is take this one here and revert it. I'm going to click on image size, and if I hit record, it'll put the next step after the highlighted step. So we click image size, make sure we're on the right image, hit record, and now I want to say image size. And for this, I don't want to resample the image, I just want to change the resolution. So I click this off, I make this 300 like the other images, and hit OK. So now it put that step right after the first step. Stop my recording, go back to the top at FFT and hit play. So now the action has been fixed. So that's how you insert a step in the middle of your action, and that's how you automate removing the Moiré pattern. I hope that's helpful.